Good evening, everybody, and thank you for attending our PD. Tonight, we have Mr. Sudeep Manandhar, the Director of IT and Communication and a board member of the Nepalese Canadian Society of Edmonton, serving since 2017 as a volunteer. He's also an ex-principal of the Junelli School. Currently, he is working as a systems IT consultant, experienced in server and network management, and as a project resource for various IT-related activities. He's very passionate about cloud computing in Google and Azure. He established Google for non-for-profit in 2017 at Nikkei's and working as Google administrator task since then. He has given multiple presentations on Google for non-for-profits in various volunteer communities and would like all volunteer communities to come up and gear towards Google for non-for-profits for their professional needs and operational activities, which are very helpful for day-to-day activities. Thank you, Sudeep.
And thank you very much. Thank you for introducing myself.
Hello,
everyone. Good evening. My name is Sudeep Manandhar. And as I mentioned, I'm enthusiastic or passionate about IT, working as a director of IT in Nepalese Canadian Society of Edmonton. And my own profession is system consultant, working in one of the private company called Language Systems. And welcome you all once again to empowering a nonprofit using Google for greater impact. So just to kind of summarize my presentations is basically it'll be a little bit technical, which all the audience might not be aware of that, how much I will go, but I won't be go that far, but at least to be understandable level, I will be there. And this is only for awareness purpose. There's no advertisement regarding Google, and this is not for any commercial purpose I'm talking about. It's only purely for awareness purpose, only organized by ELA. And I'd like to thank you, International Language Associations, ELA, for giving us the platform to discuss about the benefits of using nonprofits, Google for nonprofits, to all our community within ELA. Thank you very much. So shall I begin in Marina then? Okay, awesome. So I would like to talk about today, it won't be that long, but some of the informations are a little bit technical. Please pause me and ask me questions if you do have. And I'll try to go slow as possible and understandable in a nature that not more technical. And because this is a kind of generic, more of a generic kind of presentation, so you don't have to worry about, not to be scared of, I would say. So I'm discussing about the basic of IT resources, what is cloud computing, what is SaaS, Google nonprofits, what benefit does it bring, and why not Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo instead of Google for nonprofits, and how to get that, and pricing purpose, like price point, what we're looking at, and the other different Google services, and what are the main technical steps to consider, and how do we activate and what we get it. And there's some important links. And lastly, we do questions. However, if there are any questions you have in any of the slide deck, please pause me and ask me questions. I'll try to summarize as soon as possible to make sure that we can meet in time and we can go at the same time, giving my knowledge to the team. Thank you very much. Let's proceed. So basically in the IT resources, we say how IT resources are utilized in more organizations is basically we use, if we have, basically we use Microsoft platform or Google platform these days. More or less, like I would say most of the organizations these days use a Microsoft platform. So you have Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and PowerPoint, and sometimes they use a OneDrive and SharePoint and so on. These are all the applications and has to be installed on the system, or you can operate through via browser. So all the information, like all the applications we use these days, are all the IT resources for the user purpose. For behind the scene, there are like servers are engaged to make sure that all the resources, IT services can be utilized by the users. And the same thing, what we're going to do over here in Google is the same thing. However, for Google services, we do not have to install any certain application like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint like that. We can use run the via browser or using Chromebook or using iPhones too or Android phones. So this is what basically we're discussing about in Google. The same thing what we do in Microsoft in daily activities, we are using the same thing for Google as well. So it is basically an on-demand IT services. That means whenever you have internet and you have the various infrastructures come into play, like Google Docs, forums we use daily basis, um, spreadsheets we use it. We use networking software in behind the scene is being used. All those are on-demand IT services and we're going to utilize through internet using Google for nonprofits. So, so all the data are stored in various regions and zones. Why I'm saying because Google itself is a cloud, and what does that mean is there are physical somewhere, but not in a particular assigned area. It is being a secret sometimes. It's basically stored in data centers and in different regions. In cloud computing, regions we say is basically different country. There are many data centers across the globe in different countries have different data centers, and within data centers as well, there are different zones within a country, and within a zones as well, there are multiple racks, and this is all for the 99.9999 multiple nines there uptime with high availability. What does that mean is the server is almost never ever down. That's what we say is a 100% uptime. Is not 100%, is 99.99. And with the high availability means the services, if one server goes down, the other servers automatically pick it up. And that's what we say is called high availability. And this is applicable for Microsoft and is also applicable for Microsoft too. So all the services, what we are getting is behind the scene. There are multiple data centers in different companies, in different countries. And within countries as well, they have multiple zones so that it can back up one to each other. It will copy the resource from one server to another so that if one goes down, another is still available. That's what it's called high availability. In other words, in technical term, we say is a fault tolerance. So what happens is real time is that whenever we browse a website, we just see the website. But behind the scene, there is a traffic manager which determines the load balancing of the servers. And depending upon that, the traffic route is being directed. And once he directed and one of the server is down, in the meantime, what happened? Other server will respond it back. And this is what we say is high availability. That means server is never down, is all the time running behind the scene for our services. So all the services we use in terms of software, we say is SaaS. This basically, there are in Google Cloud Computing or cloud computing, I would say, there are basically three levels. Is a IaaS, PaaS, SaaS. First one is an infrastructure as a services and is a platform as services and software as a services. There are basically three-level version of it in cloud computing. In Google Cloud, what I'm talking about is software as a service. What does that mean means we are utilizing the applications in terms of service. It's a software itself. We are not going for platform based. We're not going for infrastructure based. There are two levels, like much more deeper aspects of it. Infrastructure, I will just give it short. Infrastructure means you will manage everything. You will manage network. You will manage servers. You manage all the hardware and everything to make sure your IT infrastructure is built up from the scratch. That is called infrastructure as a service. Google is like that, but we are only talking about software as a service. So next thing what we have is a platform as a service. So what we have is that the server is already ready, just pretend that, and then we can run the website on it. That's called platform as a service. And we are using software as a service, means software we are using like a Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, all those are software, and we are utilizing that service. Somebody came in here, let me, okay. So software as a service for short. So we are using those software in the cloud method, what we use in daily activity right now. And the same thing I'm going to discuss about in Google for Nonprofits. So basically, we use Gmail. Is basically a name of software. The service is an email service. We use chat. In Microsoft Teams, is a chat. Same we have got what you call in chat in Google as well. Before it was called Hangouts. Now we say it's Google Chat. Same we go for stories as well. So in stories, we say in Microsoft platform, we say it's a OneDrive. And here we say is a Google Drive. Let me in. And same like office productivity, we use Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides. Same, the term is different, but the technology behind the scene is the same. So it's for office productivity. And all those things are basically used for single sign-on. What do you mean by that? This is a little bit technical term. What do you mean by that? Means once you log in to any of the services, then associated services within that domain, you do not have to enter a password for multiple times. For example, if you log in with the Gmail and you try to open in Google Drive, then you don't have to log in. If you want to open a form, you don't have to log in because one login will help you to log in all those services at a time. And that is called single sign-on. So to wrap up, Google for nonprofits, what we're discussing about, where I'm talking about the generic part, the Google, is basically it is giving us the IT resources in the form of software as a service, or SaaS for short. It's a cloud-based method to providing software to the users. And we'll utilize that in terms of single sign-on so that we can utilize. Google is giving us behind the scenes a lot of resources to use their resources so that we can empower ourselves and help for our day-to-day activities. This is all about this particular slide. Any questions so far? Okay, I'll go for that for next slide. So this is what we call Google for Nonprofits. I'll discuss more about that, but this is only for awareness education purpose only, especially for PD organized by ELA. And this is not for commercial purpose I'm talking about, or not any Google-led advertisement. It is only basically for, gearing up toward awareness to reap the benefits of using Google for our nonprofits. So what is Google for nonprofits in very short term? Bullet point, I would say, it's basically a Google Workspace tools for free. So it's a comprehensive set of web-based tools which has a primarily is called admin console. It's basically a technical part is there inside. A little bit hefty, I would say, because you have to be a technical to do that work. However, it is not hard. The thing is, you might need some a little bit dedications, probably 2 to 3 weeks to understand that if you're not too technical about it, and then we can go from there. Sorry, there's a chat, Mrs. Adel, coming up. So, okay. Okay, sounds good. So we have Gmail. We are already aware of that. We have Calendar. We have Google Docs. We have Sheets. We have Slides, Forms, Drive, Keep, Meet, Site, Chat, YouTube, Ad Grants. Do you have any questions except Admin Console you have used? Any questions so far on the slide? We have multiple services. However, maybe Ad Grants is not being used normally by the people. And Admin Console, I would say.
Yes,
And
sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you, sorry, Sudeep.
Mhm.
I'm not sure actually how many members of our community register right now tonight
Uh-huh.
use all of these. So please do not be shy, just ask Sudeep if you have any questions. Sudeep, you
Mhm.
can also like maybe open, some of
Mhm.
these for us, so we can have a visual. And yeah,
For sure. Are you looking at my screen right now?
thanks so much. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer that. So, except the ad services which is not being utilized, I would say is ad grants and Keep probably. There are many. I'm just like listing out very important one, and admin console. So in short, what is admin console is admin console is basically the environment through which the policies are defined and through which when the users try to log in, when users try to data share and visualize whatever the background scene you're doing, it is all controlled by admin console. Um, in the dial, please proceed your questions, please.
Thank you, Sudeep. Actually, I was wondering about Google Keep. I think I haven't used that Google Keep, so I was just wondering if you could
Yeah,
explain on that.
Google Keep is basically a notepad, I would say. Google Keep is just a notepad. If you know
Mhm.
Notepad, Google Keep is Notepad. So it's
Okay,
the
great.
online version of Notepad, I would say. Honestly, what I'm doing in over here is that
Mhm.
I have a Google Keep app on my phone, and
Mhm.
whenever my wife wants to go for groceries, we share each other Google Keep, and we will list all the bullets and everything when going groceries, and we can share together. And when I was sharing going groceries, and she will add, okay, this is added, so I know, so we can share the information what I brought from the groceries, blah blah blah. So I used to use the keep at the same time. I'm just
Okay.
utilizing for my daily life activity at the same time, I would say.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
yeah, you're welcome. And next we have is ad grants. What ad grants is whenever you're browsing any website and type the keyword in Google, it's basically called SEO. It's called search engine optimization. What is basically that does, I'll show you a video on that. I'm just giving you an idea. So whenever you type in a keyword in Google, Google is so smart that it'll try to grab those websites at the top. So being a nonprofit, um, reaching donor is very important, and expressing our cause of our nonprofit work is very important. So whenever you enter that particular keyword, it will come up with our website so that the people can get attracted. So those kind of advertisement of website link is being shown at the top. And Google gives us, that's basically advertisement, right? And Google run advertisement too. And Google gives us, once we have approved for that, Google gives us 10,000 US dollar. I repeat, Google gives us 10,000 US dollar um, credits so that whenever people type those keywords, it'll show up at the top so we can gain the attractions from the donor. That's what basically the ad grants is. Any questions so far? Okay, I'll proceed that. So, what value does it bring to nonprofits? Why we need that? So, first of all, there are a couple of examples I would like to say with this, each and every point, like work smart with admin control. What do you mean by that? Okay, for example, um, I want to have a Google Classroom, but in Google Classroom, I want to make sure unless the teacher doesn't start the class, the student shall not join with the link, even provided. So this is one example I'm talking about admin control. I'm also, let's see, you have an Android phone or iPhone. I want to share my email to go to iPhone only, not in Android. You want to control the data. Another example. I want to have only a certain group of people to have Google Classroom access, but not the everyone. So you can control everything from the admin control, which will help to enforce policy within that particular domain. This is what basically works smart with admin control. Another thing is that, for example, whenever you create an account, like for Gmail, we used to create it, you go to Google gmail.com and create the account and reset the password, blah, blah, blah. All those things can be controlled from our end, from the admin control. This is the benefit of using admin control. So you will be creating, or the nonprofit organization's IT will be creating users for accessing the resources. This is what basically it does with the admin control. So in short, it's enforcing policy within the domain so that the how data being shared, how the services are operated. Like, for example, you want to have a YouTube control, blah, blah, blah. Everything can be done. So that, like, for example, 18 plus content shall not be shown to our kids. It is doable. So all those things can be controlled and enforced with the help of admin control. This is a bit technical part. I'm just giving the overview of what is basically the admin control and what value does it bring to nonprofit. And the second important part is online collaboration platform. So what is being by that is that, for example, we have a Google Talk and we are a team, for example. So irrespective of people in different locations worldwide, for example, my team is I have a person A, B, C, D, E, and we can share document each other. And I will say, okay, I'll do this particular part by team and by the person A. Person B will say, okay, within the same document, I'll take paragraph 2. And within the same document, the member C will be saying, I'll be doing paragraph number 3. So within the same document, we can collaborate each other and do work much more faster. We don't have to wait to one another to get the things going at the same time. So that's what we say is called online collaboration platform. And another good part is that you do not have to save the document. It's already saved. This is the beauty of cloud computing. And we have efficient communication. Of course, we have a Gmail, which we are using it in daily activities on top of Yahoo and Hotmail. We are using the same Gmail server, but associated with a particular domain. Like I am director of IT, and I have set up Google for nonprofits for Nepalese Canadian Society of Edmonton, in short, NECA, Nikkei.ca. So I'll be using gmail.com. However, I'll be entering the email address like first and last name. It is my conventions to create that as an IT person at Nikkei.ca. We might have, if you have observed, like for example, in the what you call school, we have in Edmonton Public School, we have username at epsb.ca. And what does the students has? The student has first username at share.epsb.ca. So what is that epsb.ca? What is share.epsb.ca? Those are called domain name. And the share.epsb.ca is a subdomain. So we need to verify the domain to make sure that all those information are within intact within that domain. So those sort of efficient communications can be maintained with the Google for nonprofit, I would say, with Gmail. Data management, data sharing, we can go for data studio. There is a very important idea. If the audience can listen that audio, let me know. Marina, please check that, okay? Good.
Hi everyone, I'm Joris, a cloud technical resident at Google Cloud.
And I'm Lydia, a customer engineer at Google Cloud. And welcome back to the Technical Guide for Startups, where we are creating a series of videos for technical enablement to start, build and grow their businesses successfully and sustainably on Google Cloud. In our previous episode, we shared with you how to build stream processing pipelines with data flow. Today, we are moving to our seventh stop, which is data visualization using Data Studio.
So I just want to pause over here. So all those are coming up. You can find lots of information like this in Google. Honestly, whatever the link over here on my slide deck is from Google. So there are multiple things you can do. Data Studio, we can have multiple collaborations can be done. City of Edmonton uses this basically. It's very important for their day-to-day activities. City of Edmonton also using Data Studio for data visualizations, having big queries come together and having multiple database combined together to form the informations. And this is very useful for very big organizations. I'm just giving you example Data Studio. So this is a big technical part. I won't go over there, but I'm just letting you know that like a big database big data analysis can be done with the Google as well. So of course, it increases our productivity because this one person job now come together and form a team and can do the same job in a very short period of time. We can focus and advertise our cause, reaching out to donors, using ad grants, many more. So there are other few benefits of using why we need Google for nonprofits. I won't go in detail, but this is a link I will have already shared my slide deck to Marina. Hopefully she will forward to all our audience. So it's basically the all link. As I mentioned, there is nothing to hide. It's complete transparent. I'm sharing you the link from the Google, and I'm going through with the same thing that you might not have seen the information on that. So it's help for managing volunteers. It's very important to manage the volunteers. Of course, it's very easy. We can be productive. We can be collaborative at the same time. We can delegate our mailbox. Like, for example, if president is not there, the same email can be open or giving permissions to vice presidents to reply back, being collaborative at the same time. You can use the filters, right? You can use a calendar. You can schedule the meeting. You can have tasks. You can keep track of it. But yeah, you can use Gmail. Why can't you have Gmail? There are some few differences between the one we are using Google for nonprofits and regular Gmail. I'll show you the things, but let me go through some basic stuff. So coordinate with your nonprofit board. Of course, we can talk to managers, board members at the same time. We can share the docs. We can coordinate. You don't have to call the person because he's already being notified. Hey, this document has been modified this particular date and time by this particular person. So you're aware of that. You don't have to. Did you modify the document? It's already there. So you can do with that, right? So you can reach out new audiences, supporters. We can explain our cause. Yes, of course, YouTube for nonprofit and normal YouTube, it is different. It is not the same. Why? Because if you have approved for YouTube for nonprofit, then Google will take as important resource for nonprofit in such a way that they will give certain additions to features in YouTube that normal YouTube does not have, like gaining or reaching out to the link in such a way that it can create a link to the website to a particular point so that you can guide them and engage the supporter and donors. You can optimize sound, lighting, and framing, which you cannot do in normal YouTube. So those sort of benefits you can get it. You can get the insights. You can use Google Analytics. What do you mean by that? Like if you have the website, you can check how frequent, often people visit to your website and where the people are clicking on what particular link they are interested on. So you can analyze the traffic of the people coming into our website. So this is only done applicable from the Google for nonprofits. Okay, let's go back. And there are many success stories. I won't play all of them, but there are multiple success stories using Google for Nonprofit worldwide, I would say. And depending upon different cause and different reasons behind the utilization of nonprofit they are engaged for, there are many success stories. I like to play a very short what you call Thrive DC. So I'll just go for that. So it is basically a nonprofit serving the homeless people for providing food and shelter. And this story will tell you how they have utilized Google for nonprofit to make sure that they are in good shape. This is the YouTube video of the same nonprofit organization called Thrive DC. Let's proceed.
I think one of the most important services is that this is a community. People come here to see friends, they come to see staff, get a hug, and while that seems like a really small thing, it's really not. We are a homeless services organization. We provide support services to vulnerable populations in the Washington metropolitan area. Thrive offers a variety of services throughout the day. Folks can get a hot meal, sandwiches and salads, food to go. They can take showers, they can do laundry, they can see case managers, they can get referrals for other services throughout the city. Our goal was to create as much of a one-stop shop as possible. Advances in technology have really helped us accomplish the goals that we've set for the organization.
I know Google Tools, everything that we use, from Gmail to Hangouts to ad grants, really makes our work easier. We have a small staff. We're serving a huge client community.
And they serve 7 days a week, so if you don't have really no place to go and you're homeless like I am, then you have to eat somewhere. So this is where I come.
Efficiency for us is key. The ad grants program is helping us drive much more traffic to our website. So we've seen double-digit % increases in our online fundraising for each of the past 2 years, and we really attribute that to ad grants. All of our scheduling is done on the Google Calendar, and when you're scheduling, close to 2,000 volunteers a year, you need something that really is comprehensive.
When someone gets housing, we often like to have them come in and bring their key. It is such an enlightened moment, to have a place of your own. Because there's so much stigma that comes with being homeless. Small donations make big differences here. The money that I don't have to spend on Google products or Google services or the advantages that those things bring to us, I can spend on real-time services for people who are desperately in need of them. And Google helps us get that done.
So as you can see that this is one of the stories. There are multiple stories there. There's a link there. There are multiple stories for different services being utilized in real time these days, helping nonprofits to gain a lot of reaching out donors and helping the nonprofits to drive each and every day. There are other videos too. There are multiple videos I have here for a group of nonprofit. Now, sorry. So this basically the video for Google for Nonprofits, whatever I'm saying, it will concisely will say what is Google for Nonprofits. It's basically free, but there are some procedures we have to follow, and to get all the services and reap the benefits of Google for Nonprofits. It's short 2 minute 35 seconds video. Let's proceed. It'll give you a very overview idea of what is good for nonprofits, what I'm saying right now in a short video from the Google.
Are building a better future for everyone. Whether your organization focuses on bringing clean and safe drinking water to everyone on the planet, or caring for people in your local community, nonprofits like yours are making a difference every single day. But nonprofits also face a unique set of challenges. How to manage volunteers and operations on a limited budget. How to raise awareness about your organization and mission through storytelling. And how to drive more engagement from donors to fundraise for your nonprofit. We believe that every nonprofit should be able to focus more energy on making an impact. Our mission at Google for Nonprofits is to equip nonprofits with the best of Google tools at no charge in more than 60 countries around the world. Your nonprofit can collaborate and communicate more effectively with smart, secure business apps from Google Workspace. With Gmail, your nonprofit employees and volunteers can send email from your nonprofit's custom domain. Teams can stay connected from different locations by using Google Meet and Chat. And you can access and collaborate on documents from anywhere with Google Drive. Increase your productivity so you can spend more time serving your cause or community. Through Google for Nonprofits, eligible organizations can receive free advertising to run ads on Google Search with Ad Grants. Ad Grants enables your organization to appear in ads on Google Search when someone's searching for topics related to your mission. Your nonprofit can receive free advertising to raise awareness, reach donors, and recruit volunteers. Tell the story of your organization through video to create an emotional connection to your cause. With YouTube, nonprofits can expand their audience, reach new supporters, and connect viewers to their mission. And finally, imagine that your donors and supporters could see exactly where their donations are making a difference. With Google Earth and Maps, nonprofits can create compelling custom maps that help tell their story to the world. Nonprofits are changing the world. We are here to help. Learn more at google.com/nonprofits.
So as the video says, it's basically all free, but we have to get approved for that. And there are some eligibility requirements to meet that for nonprofits. Any questions so far on this slide deck? Okay, thank you for that. Let's go for the next one. So next questions will be why Google for Nonprofits versus Gmail, Hotmail, or Yahoo? Like every people these days, even nonprofits, they use Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo for sending out email. It is okay. It's not bad. The only thing is that then what's the benefit of you having Google for Nonprofits? The important part is professional and business relationship with the vendors, partners, and stakeholders. For example, if you want to go for counselors, what will happen in the real time, I would say, is that being an IT person, whenever you send an email from abc@gmail.com to edmonton.ca or any counselors, what will happen in the real time is that it'll get blocked because it'll say, oh, somebody tried from Gmail, try to reach out to counselors. Because that is, anybody can do that. But when the email come from ela.ca, then, oh, no, this is from a particular domain, which is kind of really legit and authentic. So in other words, it will give you the trust, which creates the professional and business relationship with vendors, partners, and stakeholders. It gives your professional identity in your online presence. If you have ela.ca, the website, the domain there, and the email coming from the same domain, then people will definitely recognize that this is kind of legit. And another thing is that using Gmail, there are a lot of advertisements and less services and less functionalities. But in Google for Nonprofits, they are all non-advertised and is all computer Gmail. It is much more secure. In the case that we can control the security of Gmail, how we can share our data within our community or within our domain. It is possible. For example, in the case in my nonprofit organizations, when I said that um, my documents, spreadsheet, forms, sorry, not forms, slide deck, all those informations which I make it within my nikkes.ca will not be shared to Gmail, Hotmail, and Yahoo. I have designed in that way so that people cannot misuse my informations of my organizations to the Gmail. Because now you can just imagine today we have abc@gmail.com. Next week, oh, I forgot the password. I will create def@gmail.com and I try to send def@gmail.com. I mean, another username. So if you're changing too much of username, people will get skeptical. Is it the same person? Because I was using ABC, now it's coming from DEF. Now, this sort of things won't happen because you literally do not have any control if you have any issues with the abc@gmail.com. But in Google nonprofits, you have your own control. If you forgot your password, if you need security, you can do it. You have less limitations on IT services. You have much more options to grow, and you can build a trust. That's a very important part because sending from Hotmail, Yahoo, Gmail, computer that, suppose if you have, like, for example, ela.ca email, people will recognize more and give much more value to compare to Gmail and Hotmail. That is very true, and nobody can deny that. Any questions so far? Thank you. So what are the challenges and what are the requirements? Is basically, I'm touching a little bit part of that as well. For document to prove, like to have Google for nonprofit for $0, we have to show them as certificate of incorporations. We have to have that. It has to be handy. Next thing what we have is that we need to have our own domain. I mentioned already, ela.ca. It's one of the domain. It's just a name of the domain, but inside that, web pages has to be there, where the web servers has that web hosting. So basically, whenever how website work is that the name of the website has to be registered under the registrar. And whenever you have like abc.com, any website in browsing, just pretend, what will happen is that it'll go to .com domain and try to see ABC. And whenever your computer try to reach out to the registrar, we give the links that it's called IP address or address where your web pages are stored. And it will direct that, hey, I found in abc.com, but actually web pages are stored in this particular server. But inside the work, it is not being known. It is everything done internally, and it goes to web hosting server, actually where the website is resided or web pages are. So you need to have domain like ela.ca and somewhere to store your web pages. And you should have it all the time. You can do it like after applying, or I would say before applying that, and show your online presence will build a trust for the third-party vendors within Google to verify you as a nonprofit. And this comes under operational expenses. I repeat, this part is not covered by Google. It is basically having your own website and your own domain. This comes under your own operational expenses, showing that your online presence over the worldwide world. And to have that all Google for nonprofits, it's good to have operational IT support. I repeat, what is operational IT support? Means people doesn't have to be 24/7. IT people doesn't have to be engaged all the time. Once you set up that architecture, then it can run by itself. But there are a couple of hours need to spend out for setting off that Google for nonprofit IT infrastructure. Having said, there are some eligibility requirements and the country requirements because we live in Canada. So there are some requirements to fulfill to get Google for nonprofits. And I repeat, we have to have a handy that every organization's nonprofit, charity, whatever, we must have certificate of incorporation they will ask at the time of applying the process. Let's see the small website. It is from Google again, showing what is important to have eligibility guidelines. So we need to have one of the country listed below. Of course, we are in Canada, that's totally fine. And the validation partner is called Percent. Before, on 2017, when I applied for Google for nonprofits for my case, there is another vendor within Canada. It is basically NGO organizations within the worldwide. It's called TechSoup, TECHSOUP. I used to get that verification from that partner. I give documentation and everything information about my organizations to TechSoup, and TechSoup help to coordinate with Google to apply for my Google for nonprofits. But now the scenario has been changed. It is now done by another third-party vendor called Percent as of now. So we have to have the requirements of our own country because we have to be not eligible for governmental entity or organizations. Let's be a very important part. We should not be a governmental entity to be a nonprofit. We shouldn't be a hospital or healthcare organizations. And we should not be a school, academic institution, or university. There might be questions. I will talk about that. Because over here, ELA is basically like a consolidated part of like a school, a community. And if people want to set up Google for nonprofits for the school, how we can do that, I will come back again. So there are requirements to have eligibility for Google for nonprofits. So we can go to Canada here. So it's very important. Organization must be registered as number one, charity with the Canada Revenue Agency or CRA. Number two, nonprofit operating entity with tax exemption. Number three, federal nonprofit corporations or the provincial nonprofit. There are basically 4 organizations is basically eligible to have Google for nonprofit. And they will ask documentations and they will check your website if it's available and certificate of incorporations to the government, and it is done all by Percent. And we will communicate with the person, and person will help to coordinate with Google to get our account or system activated. That's how it is being done. So it depends country to country, but I'm just talking about Canada here. So now let's go back to the school, because we are most of the schools. For the schools, how is possible then? Because it's not available. So what we do is that, honestly, I would say we have a junior school of Nepali language and culture, but we have not registered under junior school. Our Nepalese Canadian Society of Edmonton comes under the provincial nonprofit. It is basically an organizations under which a various program runs, and one of them is junior school. Same like that, you might have an organizations under which the schools are being operated. If you are a particular school like Edmonton Public School, then they will not get Google for nonprofits. They have to buy the commercial license, Google for Google Classroom, to have it licensed. But for us, we are Nepalese Canadian Society of Edmonton. It's a provincial nonprofit under which our school runs. So to be a bit possible, if it's possible on your end, then I would register myself and organization as one of the nonprofits, whatever charity or nonprofit operating entity with a tax exemptions, a federal nonprofit, blah, blah, blah. And then have Google Classroom, all the features like that. I repeat, Google for Nonprofits contains Google Classroom as well. However, for Eminent Public School, they have Google Google Classroom as a single entity services. They might have it, but I'm 100% sure since it is a school directly, then it must have to have a Google Classroom. For our Google, for nonprofit organizations, we will have Google Classroom as a extended services provided by the Google. That's how we can apply for Google for nonprofit. Again, I would advise to have our organizations to proceed, and then how we can proceed with that for Google for nonprofit. Any questions so far? Okay. So another important part is like it's kind of very basic. So existing email for token activation. So once you are verified and approved, they'll give you a one-time token. It's kind of long code. It's kind of, I would say, in other words, I would say a license. They will apply us to our domain and from where our Google for nonprofits will work. I'll go for the next slide. So how to procure? So how we can start the process is basically, it's very important to be in here, google.com/nonprofits. I'll show you how it's being done. It is like this. This is the website. And under offering, there are multiple links over here. And eligibility is over here. You can see that who is eligible. Go through the website. It is there in the slide deck. And how it's being done. Let's do the homework. I would say within an hour, you can understand like a lot of things about Google for nonprofits. This is the website. And I would say let's go offerings. And this is where the button is basically is called Get Started. This is the main button. So you have to confirm your email address. I won't do it because I am the administrator already, and it will not recognize that. And this process will take you to the vendor called Percent. And they will ask you document, and the document will be certificate of incorporations. And I hope you have got it that from your registry. And you will upload the document. You'll give your website details. You'll give your mission and your cause of your nonprofits to verify yourself, and your all the details regarding your nonprofit organizations, whatever they asks, and they will check in the informations against the registry or provincial government or the federal government to verify that you are authentic or legit organizations for nonprofits. And once you're verified, it will give you the tokens on your email. And how long it take? It takes 2 to 14 days, but I would say 3 to 5 days it takes for verifications. For all the process takes 2 to 14 days. It depends upon their verification process, because Percent vendor, which is third-party vendor of Google, does not have all the access, so they have to reach out to the government to understand it, or CRA or federal government to understand the legitness of your organization to proceed. So it varies for your verifications time. Let's go back once again. So this is the website I mentioned earlier. Get started button, confirm your email, and starting email could be Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, Telus.net, whatever, etc. There are many emails you can use, like whatever email you have currently using it. You can use same email for your activations of your services. And you'll be asking multiple documents, history of your nonprofits, mission of your nonprofits, vision of your nonprofits, how many people are being engaged, all those informations, and how much is your what you call a net worth, your gross worth, and all the information are being asked in documentations. And however, do the homework first, starting with the eligibility requirements is very important. We are in Canada, so certificate incorporation is very important. And I mentioned it takes 2 to 14 business days for the verifications. and done by the third-party vendor person is engaged by the Google, and we have TechSoup before it's being used but not used anymore. However, just for bonus tips is that if you need software in a donation, normally softwares are very expensive, including Zoom, DocuSign for your online collaborations, kind of like for authentic document is being signed together, like for getting mortgage, DocuSign, like that. All the informations are like hardware, like switches, or your Windows Server licenses if you want to have it, or Windows licenses you want to have it. Yeah, everything is doable. For that, you have to use TechSoup. The website is TechSoup.ca. If you can see the bottom right corner, if you can see my screen, just above my Windows Start button there, TechSoup.ca. That's the website. You have to register over here as well so that you can get the benefits of hardware and software. Not for Google for nonprofits. Before it was, now it is done by percent. So to get started with the nonprofits, so it's very important. Review your eligibility requirements. I won't go in detail because I mentioned the same thing again. Request for Google for nonprofits, wait for a verification process, and activate your Google for nonprofits. And of course, you have lots of video tutorials, how-to guides, learning centers for setting up your nonprofits. And steps to activate. Again, it's a small video, but it's kind of...
Hello from Google for Nonprofits. Today, we'll be talking about how to activate Google Workspace for nonprofits.
I'll just show you a clip of that only so you can take your time and see this link for your detailed information that how to activate. What I've said verbally, it's being same thing being said by the Google so that it can help to gear up nonprofit organizations to get the ball rolling.
Google Workspace includes apps that you know and love like Gmail, Calendar, Google Drive, Meet, and Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides, but all for your nonprofit so you can operate in a professional setting with our amazing productivity tools. The first step to getting access to Google Workspace for nonprofits is to request a Google for Nonprofits account. If you visit our website at google.com/nonprofits, you can review the eligibility requirements, request an account, and after our team verifies your nonprofit, you can then activate and use Google products, including Google Workspace. Once you have a Google for Nonprofits account and you sign in to that account, you'll be walked through these steps to activate Google Workspace for nonprofits. The first step is to sign up for Google Workspace if your organization hasn't already. You'll verify your domain, and we'll talk a bit more about what that means. You'll submit that domain to our team for review. And then once you're approved, you can sign into Google Workspace in the admin console and get started using things like Gmail to power your nonprofit. So once you have a Google for Nonprofits account and you log in, you'll see your nonprofit name and that little green verified. And in this screen, if you click Activate Products, you'll be taken to the product list. At the very top is Google Workspace for Nonprofits. So if you'd like to get started, you can click that button, come along with us. The first question we'll ask you in the product flow is, does your nonprofit currently use Google Workspace? If the answer is no, you're brand new to Google Workspace, click that no and click the next button. You'll land on a screen that walks you through the steps to get signed up for a Google Workspace for Nonprofits trial, to verify your domain, and then ultimately to submit that domain for review. So step one is signing up for a Google Workspace for Nonprofits trial. If you click that link, you'll get taken to a new screen and a flow that walks you through how to get Google Workspace for Nonprofits. Once you're through this flow, you'll land on a final screen that tells you, if you've purchased your domain during this flow, that you need to verify you own that domain. After that, Google Workspace will email you next steps to make sure that you are activated for Google Workspace for Nonprofits. So from this screen, if you click Continue to Setup, you'll end up in the Google Workspace admin console, where you can walk through the steps of verifying your domain. But if you forget that step, or you're looking for the Verify Your Domain link, go back to your Google for Nonprofits account, walk through those couple of steps. So click Activate Products, click Get Started with Workspace. When you get back to this screen, you've finished that sign up trial flow, but here's that link to verify your domain if you forget where it is. If you click this link, it will take you to a Help Center article that walks through the details of what it means to verify a domain. The reason this is important is that verifying your domain shows us that you own that domain and you actually have permission to do things like sending emails from that domain. So it basically protects your nonprofit. Once you're done with domain verification, if you go back to your Google Workspace for Nonprofits activation flow in your Google for Nonprofits account, you've signed up for that free trial, you verified your domain. Now the final step is to submit your domain so that we can review your request. So type that domain into the field and click the Activate button. Once you've done this, on your home page for Google for Nonprofits, when you see the list of products, it'll show you that your activation request has been received by our team. And if you're still not sure, also check your email, because you'll have an email from the Google for Nonprofits team telling you we've received your activation request. Our team reviews typically within 3 business days. What the team is looking for is to make sure that you have verified your domain, as we talked about, and that you've submitted a domain that's related to your nonprofit. So if you verified your domain and your domain is related to your nonprofit, once you get approved, if you log back into your Google for Nonprofits account, you'll see status approved, and you'll see the domain that you activated. You'll also receive an email telling you that Google Workspace for Nonprofits is activated for your domain. Now, what if you already use Google Workspace and you're either trying to get Google Workspace for Nonprofits, which is free, or you're trying to get Google Workspace discounts for business and enterprise editions? If you remember that original screen when we were walking through the Google Workspace for Nonprofits.
Okay, so this is basically the process how to activate Google for Nonprofits. So this is a bit technical. This is just like procuring Google for Nonprofits. But behind the scene, after this, there is a much more technical, really technical part that we need to consider. That Payleg had asked me questions that do we need a dedicated domain? Yes, that's I've said that we need to have a dedicated domain and dedicated web hosting. So basically, how much it would cost, that with another questions, because if you want to consider for what you call operational expenses for web hosting and domain hosting. It's basically, I would say for domain hosting, it depends upon who is your domain provider and where you're hosting your web pages. So like from where your web pages are stored, just like when you save your documents, it's going to Google Drive. Yes, it's in Google Drive, but it's basically stored somewhere, just like your Jump Drive or USB drive, just like that. Your web pages are stored. So depending upon their vendor, whatever the vendor you have set within US or within Canada, it varies. But I would say 200 to 300 for a couple of years is okay to have web pages. And if you're having a very small website, not much more, because all the web pages contain weightage of your website, and depending upon that, your price varies and depends on vendor too. So I would think of like the price point of $200 to $300 for 2 years or 3 years, like that, including everything. So that's how it costs for your dedicated domain, including web hosting. And this is what is all doing is procuring and requesting for nonprofits. The technical part, this is not a technical part, to be honest. This is just like a procuring licensing. We are just getting a license. This is what we're doing, the procuring. The technical part is much more deeper, that it needs a technical person to do that. Any questions on here? We're almost like half. Okay, I'll proceed for next.
Hi, sorry, this is Sarah from the Spanish School, Gabriel. Let me start. I guess I'm not tech savvy. We have a parent volunteer that helps with this. Unfortunately, they couldn't be on the call. And then we also have an ex-parent volunteer who does website stuff, and that helps us out. So am I understanding, because we do have a domain and a website we use, Flywheel is, I believe you might know that this stuff better, but Flywheel, we used to have GoDaddy. So if we apply to Google nonprofit, we don't get rid of that. Like we can still use that. Like we're not starting from scratch.
What was the domain you said, Sarah?
So I don't even know the domain. I don't know what domain means necessarily, but we use Flywheel is one of the sites that our person uses. That's where our website is created through.
It is looks like it's a WordPress hosting. You have to have your own domain. Like for example, if you have flywheel.com/ your school name, blah blah blah, or your nonprofit name, then it won't get recognized. You have to have your own root domain, I would say, just like nikis.ca or ila.ca.
But we have like our Gabriela Mistral Edmonton.ca. Like we have a website. So I think that part might still be out of GoDaddy. So we paid two portions. One's out of GoDaddy, so I'm assuming then that's the domain, and then I guess the details of the web page are out of the Flywheel or whatever.
Yeah, GoDaddy is a domain registrar. So it is domain registrar. So if it is basically pointing you whenever somebody like the users did like abc.com, is basically pointing to the main server or the web hosting server where your web pages are located. That's what basically the job of GoDaddy, right? So, but I need to figure out like a actual domain name. I would say abc.com. I would just giving like a convention, I would say. Then having abc.com/ela, then it won't get verified. I would say if you do abc.com as a root domain, and that is much more higher chance to get verified. Anyways, you can give me that domain name. I can advise you later on that. You can email me on it. I will give you my at a later time once I'm done, so we can go from there. Okay, Sarah?
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have Google for Nonprofits and Equivalent Business Starter. Why is that I'm talking about? These two are the screenshots of Google for Nonprofit and normal same version, almost the same version of Google services that commercial organizations used to pay. So you can see Google for works with nonprofits. What we are applying for is $0. And if you can see, you can get a professional email address like somebody or someone at ila.ca. And you have 100 participants, video meetings, and then 30 GB of cloud storage per user. Normal Gmail, please bear in mind, it'll give you just 15 GB with a limited resources in Gmail. It does not give you all the resources. Like for example, I have to send AGM request on this particular date, which is around after 2 weeks or so, in this particular time. In normal Gmail, you cannot do that. But in this Gmail, you can do it. You can notify where you are located in your office, or you can, there are a lot of informations or services, I would say, in Gmail, which normal Gmail is missed. And same thing, if the same service, if we are nonprofit, then that commercial organization has to pay for one user for 1 month of 1 year commitment is $7.80. Same feature. But we are using Google for nonprofits, and we are using for $0. Isn't that amazing? So if you have this, say, 15 people or 10 people, at least for board members has to be 13 people or 15 people. Of course, is a couple of $100 per month, and that being saved. If you just go for like a roundabout, or just for 10 people, it is $780 per month. for 1 month only for 10 people. Now you can just imagine that 10 people will go around 12 months. So you can multiply by 12. That much of money we are saving using Google services. And on top of that, they are giving all those services what normal commercial business starter version has. Let me go through in detail. So in Google for Nonprofit is a website. So it is the same website. I'm just showing you the details of it. However, if you can see the business standard, business plus, enterprise, what are these? Why is being paid? Basically, what we are using right now is Google Workspace for nonprofits. That's what we're basically interested for. However, my nonprofit is growing bigger and bigger, and we need a lot of space. Then, of course, you go jump to the next level. Then you have to pay for each individual $3. And there you can see 150 participants in video meetings, and you can do recordings too. But if you go for Google for nonprofits, you have Google Meet for 24 hours. Normal Google Meet will give you 1 hour of services in cutoff, whereas this one you can run multiple Google meeting for 24 hours for 100 participants. This is the basic difference. I'm just giving you an idea of what is the Google for Nonprofits Workspace offers versus the commercial version. So these are the what we get: Gmail, Drive, Google Meet, Calendar, Google Chat, Docs, Slides, Keep, Sites, Forms, Current. There are other mini as well. But on top of that, there are other like ad grants. Not here. That's different procedure. Google for Workspace for Nonprofits give you this much. But for nonprofit and for your ad grants, you have to apply again on top of this Workspace for Nonprofit. But once you're verified, you're likely to get verified for YouTube for nonprofits and ad grants too. But if you want to excel into next level, because you are having like I have multiple like users worldwide. For example, I have like 250 participants or like that, then you have to go for Business Plus. And please bear in mind, this is only for Google for Nonprofit offers if you want to get into next level. But the same price, if you go for commercial version, it is way expensive. It is way expensive. So let's go back once again. I'll show you the link over here, Business Starter version. This is the version where we're getting it. So if you can see Business Starter, this is the version we are getting, which is very pretty much equivalent to Google for Nonprofits. And commercial organizations are paying $7.80 per user for 1 month. And if it's commercial, see the price, you can see $15.60. Same services, everything same. For commercial, it is way much more. For nonprofits, the same service, if you want to excel into next level, you have to price to pay. Okay, this is about it. So now what you get and what not, there's a compare plan detail. So there's a link over here. I will not go for each and every detail, but I can show you what you get it. So this is what we are interested on. So you can get a Gmail, you have an ad-free email experience, you have security and everything, phishing, spams, everything is there. Normal Gmail doesn't have it, but Google for Nonprofits, yes, it has. So we have 100 participants, 24 hours, and you have a dial-up, but you don't have the opportunity to save the recording. That's what Marina is doing right now. You have to go for another version of which is called Business Standard. And can you get for one particular account? No, you have to get for the whole system. And that is another level of high level expenses. So in that case, I would say, if you want to record those kind of things, I would say just buy like a $30, $40 of software, and you can go for screen recording. And that can do all the job. You don't have to get the whole license. I'm just giving you extra tip just in case if you want to go for Google Meet and you want to record. So yeah, of course, Google Drive, you get 30 GB for this nonprofit. If you go higher and higher, you get 2 TB per user. You get 5 TB per user, and so on. Google Chat is there. Every features are included in every versions, most of it. You can see Google Classroom is in nonprofits. If you can see it, it is applicable, but other version does not have that. So I would like to willing to get Google Classroom, like Google Workspace for nonprofits. We have app sheets, which can be helpful for if you're doing programming and you are using Currents. What Current is basically is a kind of Facebook kind of thing for Google, I would say. We have a cloud search for other version of it, but we don't have cloud search that is searching within our domain, powered by Google server for searching the contents. It is not there Google for nonprofit, but the other version has. Security wise, it's a endpoint management is a fundamental. What is endpoint? Like for example, your nonprofit has Android phone and it is lost, and you want to protect your data, so you want to remotely wipe your phone or tablet. It is possible, yes, and that's kind of like a fundamental part as well, but it can be it is doable, that is being utilized or not. You can do certain part, but you have to go to advanced part to do that, all those settings, and it takes a license too for enrolling your Chromebook, enrolling your Android to the particular domain within Google server. It is possible. It is another I would say operational expenses. It is very expensive, I would say. So we are just interested on Google for nonprofits. So this is what basically offering and commercial pricing, because people say, it's free, yeah, you can get it. But do you know how much price you're paying for that? People do not know about it. Everything comes with a price, but they are giving us for free. So we have to respect the value and utilize in proper way to make sure that it gears up to our nonprofit. So normal Gmail doesn't have it. Normal Google Drive doesn't have that, and so on. Any questions? So I can go further. Okay, let's proceed. So as I mentioned earlier, there's a Google Ad Grants, Google for YouTube for nonprofits, Google Earth and Maps. You can customize the maps. Like for example, your nonprofit is spread around across globe, in different time zones or different countries, and you can say, hey, I have this nonprofit over here, like for example, Red Cross in over this particular city, right? So you can find it your own map. You can build your own map within Google Earth, which is not applicable in your normal Google Earth thingy, application service. In YouTube, you get much more features compared to editing. You can do it everything in YouTube. You don't have to buy software. That is doable. And you have a Google Ad Grants, as I mentioned earlier. And these are all the links I have mentioned over here for Google Ad Grants. I won't go in detail, but you can take your time to go there. It helps to attract donors, raise awareness. As I mentioned earlier, it provides $10,000 in kind advertising every month for text ads. So every month you get $10,000 of advertisement credits. So when you type website, it'll come at the top. All those features are there. So you can benefits are there. There are a lot of more informations over here. I will share this slide deck so you can go through all the details on how you can able to reap the benefits for Google for nonprofits. There are many success stories that how ad grants help those organizations to generate their thousands of dollars for their mission and cause to execute like that, right? So we have YouTube for nonprofits, how to engage your supporters, emotionally catching up their videos. Of course, it takes editing, blah, 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 but you can do it in YouTube. You don't have to get your software. You can say in YouTube, be online YouTube. And whenever you enter your organizations, YouTube link come at the top. And that is doable. So this features is not available in normal YouTube. You have to pay to Google as an advertisement about that to get your link up with a search engine optimizations, but you can do it with the Google for nonprofits. Same as I mentioned, Google Earth and Maps. You can show your nonprofit impact with where you're doing it, where you're doing a job, your benefits, like visualize your impact. A lot of things are there. You can see how Google Earth and Map works, and there are lots of features you can use Google Map, and through which you can explain how your mission and cause are being executed within different across the globe. This is another good part of Google Earth. So let's go for next. So this is big technical. Is it technically challenging? If you people are not savvy, please don't hesitate to ask questions. But I will just go through the brief title only on that. Is basically the website within Google for a quick start guide. So this is basically, I can show you that, yes, you have to access your administrator account. And for that, do not hesitate. Google has a very good documentation in the background about what you're doing actions. And even once you have your Google for nonprofits, I tell you, it is so helpful. It is 24/7 all the time. And all the time, you're always in good hands. Technically speaking, if you are really willing to accelerate your IT stuff, if you're not IT as well, you can lot much more you learn in Google Cloud, how to operate. And you can, each and every step is like a baby steps kind of thing like that. How to open, how to switch, you name it. So easy in a sense that if you have dedicated and doing your homework and get into Google, hey, I want this and that. Once your Google is there, it'll give you all details and all the help required. So setting up your business email. So for that, you need to have your MX record. I'm going a little bit technical. What MX record is basically, you have to point your server from where your email is coming from. There are basically many servers, and you have to verify your domain. You have to add MX record. And what is that? It is basically saying that where your email is coming from. So you have to say that whenever somebody's at it at ila.ca, at your nonprofit.ca, then you'll get an email from your Google. And you have to set up all those things like that over here in step number 2. And you have to activate. And then what you have to do is that you have to migrate your emails and everything. If you do have already, I believe you do. So you have help. There is a tool within Google to help migrate all your emails to Google servers, so that none of the emails or contacts or conversations are not being missed. And Google will help you do that, all the details. You don't have to worry about it. Once you set up, you are always in good hands. I tell you, 24/7. It'll help you all the time. There are many community informations there, documentations about how to set it up, and many things over there. I would say you'll be tired of watching documentations, but it'll never end. It is that much more like a rich in documentations on acquiring all those technical steps. So training users, of course, how to use Gmail, how to use Google Docs in Google for Nonprofit. That's another part of scenario. And people have to go through Google Space Learning Center. It's over here. It's on my slide deck too. You just search it. You had to learn by product. What do you want to learn? There are a lot of information there. And what's your role? And what kind of nonprofit you're using it? And how to use it? How to properly reap the benefits of using Google for Nonprofits is already there. So this is about it. Please take your time and visit so that you can do the homework. As I mentioned earlier, I'll give you my email address so you can contact me back once again if you need some help. So once you're active and done all the stuff, like all activation is done properly, so this is what you look like. So this is what you get. So this is my actual nikis.ca Google admin console. So you can see my picture over here. And this is what you get it. And what are these is that on your left hand side, if you can see, there are dashboard, directory, browsers. You can control your browser, what to see and what not, and what device can be controlled, what apps you're activating and what not. For example, I don't want to activate YouTube in my domain, or I don't want to have YouTube going like 18 plus content not to show to my students, blah, blah, blah. And you can see the security, who are logging in and who are logging out, who had reset the password, who logged in. You can see. However, there's data privacy. That being said, like for example, there's user A, user B, user C, D, and so on. As an admin, I will not able to see their Google Drive, their Gmail conversations. I cannot listen whatever they're saying it is completely within that particular user, unless you have extra license that is business standard or plus. Then you can see your vault, and then you can recover your email and see the details like that. But with this license, what you can do is that within 30 days, if you send email, you can see what email being sent from A to B. But what is the body of the email and what are the attachments, you cannot see. It is all have a data privacy there. Unless you ask user, being as an IT administrator, I can see who are the users are and what they are using right now and how much they have in Google Drive. I can see, I can control everything. However, I'm not able to see their conversation or their email due to data privacy. I would ask the consent from the user, despite I'm admin, to reset the password or get inside their account. You cannot see the email conversation unless you delegate the user. Okay, so this is what it look like, the admin console. The final product of what we are talking, all those things, is basically getting this one. And once you're here, you can control, like for example, whenever you're logging with the browser and what browser you have. Like for example, you can say bookmark. What bookmark you want to have it as a kind of like all the users, so they don't have to create the bookmarks for it. You don't have to. Like for example, this is my managed browser, I would say. What is managed browser is, let me go back, I'm sorry. Forward, please. Sorry. Okay, it's coming up. So what managed browser is basically, you can say that my Google Admin Console enforce the policy when I log into Google Chrome, and it will help me, the user, that how data being shared, what they can see and what not. It is all done by the enforcement of the policy by the Google Admin Console. So this is the console which will help you to determine what policies are being enforced and so on. So here in Admin Console, what we can do in very brief, you can create the user. So whenever you create the user, like for example, whenever you go for gmail.com and create an account, that is basically the same thing what we are doing, creating a user inside the Admin Console. Mind it, you are paying a license $7.80 if you're commercial, but because of nonprofit, it is $0. So every account created, it is $0. And how many accounts is being given at the first attempt? You'll get 100. I repeat, you get 100 of the user's account as a free. But if you want to increase, then you can request the Google and they will create another pool of, right now for Nikkei.ca, I have 10,000 accounts I can create it. It's given by Google. However, it is the pool is being shared. What is pool being shared? Pool is being shared means I am given 1 terabyte of space now. What that means, pretend there is a building which has 100 rooms. And Google says, okay, use those 100 rooms. Then I can assign every individual room to a particular user. However, if somebody says, I will just use a half of the room because my office is so small, I can share my half of room with some other users. So you have 1 terabyte of space, and within that, like some users take 100 megabytes of space, some takes 100 GB. So it depends. And all those storage is being shared within the pool of users for Nikkei's because we have 10,000 users. But for 100 users, they will dedicatedly give you 30 GB of space. Normal Gmail will just give you 15 GB. I started Google, working in Google 18, 19 years back in Google. And whenever Google was started, I still remember. And the Hotmail was in very rise at the time. And guess what? In Hotmail, you get 500 megabyte of space, your mailbox. But Google give you 1 GB. And we are, because we are IT guys, and oh, Google is the one is like, it give 1 GB of space. It's just double of Hotmail. Yahoo gives 250 megabyte space like that. They were like competing each other. My email address, which I'm using right now, is almost 19 years back right now. So Google is increasing that way. So it rises up right now to 15 GB for normal user account. For nonprofit is 30 GB. So we can set the policies, we can create the account, we can set the data management, how data being shared. You can go the control mechanism of Google services, like what website it show. Like, for example, I'll show you. I hope my screen is being shared. Whenever a new tab is there, what will happen? Oh, the website shows up. So this is my concept. It's called Launchpad. Basically, it's inspired by MacBook or Apple idea. I wouldn't say it's stealing, but I just utilize my idea. So why not to have like whenever people log in to the website, why not they have all the services? Just click on link, because every application services, you have to remember the URL. For example, for Google Drive, you say drive.google.com. For Google Meet, you say meet.google.com. For calendar, you say calendar.google.com. So it's like a bit forgetful to have all the URL. So why not to have all the icons so that people can click it? Like, for example, I want to have Google Docs. And a couple of days back, one of my membership director asked, how do you have a letterhead? So I did Google Docs here. It is my account. I'm admin, so I can do all the stuff. But as a normal user, what they can do, they can go to template gallery. And if they want to have a project report, it's all formatted. Letterhead is all formatted in Google Docs. You just have to create it. Click it and just create it and then save it and share it to people and save it to PDF. It's up to them. So this is letterhead. You can see it's a template. So I don't have to build each and every time for my organizations. It's already there. If you want to have a submitted project report, why I'm doing? Because it's a branding. And branding is very important whenever you send document to worldwide, to make sure your professional identity within the world. Even for sending like a proposal, something within City of Edmonton, you need a letterhead. So you don't have to format it again and again. Because this is all given to all the users. So anybody can use letterhead to do that. However, if you want to control it, you can control through the admin console. Okay, I'm just giving an example of like how admin console help us for the control mechanism and helpful for the services to enable. Next slide, I would go for important links, which I have it over here, ad grants, which I've already shown, quick start guide, which I've already shown that all the technical steps. There are still FAQs there. I will just want to show you just a quick thingy. So there are a few questions there. Are Google for nonprofits and products available in every country worldwide? No. There is basically including certain countries, including Canada is there. And what are the eligibility requirements? You can see that to have eligibility, you have to verify within the vendor called percent. And I don't have access to. Take your time because it's a lot of questions, and you have to go through. And you can proceed accordingly. And if any questions, of course, you're free to welcome to email me regarding how to establish Google for nonprofits to your organization. So it tells you every details. If you go through your things, all the informations, of course, it'll be helpful for you to establish for yourself. You don't have to need my help. I can just be advising you. You can get up to yourself. However, I'm not totally technical savvy. I need some really help. Then there are vendors out. You can reach out to the vendors for setting up your Google for nonprofits, or I can help even. But I will discuss about this like later, or you can just email me how to do that. And there are some certifications you can do it. which is also free. And at the same time, it's kind of basically win-win situations that you understand how Google works, and you also understand how to work with Google and help other to gear up with the Google at the same time, or help your community. So we have Google Workspace support. This is also another website, very good website. It tells you that how to begin and how to contact us, how to get the help, how to like a known outage. I would say it's 9.999 uptime, but there are a lot of resources. You can go to community, you can go to any administrator like IT jobs, you can ask the community, you can reach out to social media, and so on. There are a lot of informations out there for regarding your workspace support. And the last one I would say, do not forget to see this 1 hour of nonprofits webinar, which was live at some point, which will help you to understand how nonprofit work in very detail, how to activate, how to utilize and reap the profits, benefits of using Google for nonprofits for our organization. And that's it for my presentations. And I would like to welcome any questions if you do have. Just please proceed.
Hi. We just finally incorporated our Filipino school, but we're going through the steps, and I'm sorry if I missed the first 15 minutes. And I don't know if you mentioned what did you use to buy your domain? Like, do you have a suggestion for one over the other?
Yes, that is a good question. What I would say, because as per my experience, depending upon where your web hosting server locates, your domain registrar has a permissions. I would say, I forgot for Canadian registrar, it is called Sierra.ca, I believe. Yeah. So this is the domain registrar for Canada. So whenever you have ela.ca or nikes.ca, whatever .ca, has to be registered on this particular domain registrar. However, your web hosting server is at US. Just pretend like your web pages stored in the server, which is reside in US environment. So your domain registrar, like Canada's internal, this is domain registrar basically, might not have access to the web hosting in US. So you have to use domain registrar in the US itself. Like for example, GoDaddy, for example.
Yeah, we were looking at GoDaddy.
Yeah. So GoDaddy has .com. If you can see, the domain name is godaddy.com/en-ca something like that comes up. Because you support Canada's domain. However, at the same time, it also support web hosting at which reside on US version of the servers. So you have to make sure where your domain hosting is and where your web hosting is. So web hosting, as I mentioned earlier, where your web pages are going to be located, because in Google Cloud Computing, or cloud computing in a generic, I would say, there is certain protocol. For example, that's called, there are many, but one of them is like a GDPR. I forgot, global data, something privacy, like that. So it says that, like being as a consultant, I would say one of the municipality I've set up for Microsoft, because I am Microsoft certified for Azure, for architecting cloud computing in Microsoft. So what they want is that our data must not leave Canada. Yes, it may happen. So in that scenario, if you have to have your all data to be resided within Canada, or sometimes within Alberta, then there is a kind of very specific things comes up. For that county, I have developed architect the Microsoft Azure, their environment. For Microsoft, It is in basically in two regions, one in East Coast and West Coast. So data center within Canada, it is a Vancouver and in a Toronto area. So those two servers are being utilized for data storing. But for some of the organizations I want have to be in Alberta, then you cannot have that because that data center is particularly located in those data centers only. You can't have in Alberta. So if you want to have it, then you have to create your own private cloud. It is possible to have your own cloud. Through the internet, it is possible, and you have to expand your own servers like that if you want to go for own public cloud. So it depends where your data stores. So that being said, you do have to understand where is your data registrar, domain registrars, and where is your web servers, like your information is being stored. You have to determine that. That's a very good question. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm just curious, did you use CIRA?
Yes, because Nikkei.ca, when it was, it's 2004, I believe, that domain was registered. At that time, people do not know what Google for Nonprofit is. It's basically, I came over as a director in 2017 and set it up because I come across, to be honest, I would say I do not know Google anything, but when I go into TechSoup and it says, reap the benefits of using Google for Nonprofits. Okay, what is that? Because I was in IT and was enthusiastic and like, oh, let's see, and then how it come across, and I built my knowledge on cloud computing that way for nonprofits.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how it goes, my journey. So before I'm using Nikkei.ca is still on GoDaddy because my web hosting server is in US, the website. It is not in Canada, so I have to use GoDaddy. I can purchase a domain within Canada, which is our domain registrar, is Sierra.ca ultimately, but it does not have access to the servers which resides in the US. So I have to go to GoDaddy.ca, .com inside CA to access our web server resources.
And then if we do Google Nonprofit, they don't care where it's from.
Care. Important part is that your domain has to be there. Your domain must have a website, and it should tell you your mission and your cause as a nonprofit to make sure that it is registered within government organizations, like in, like a registry. They have all the information. So whatever website is, if you have registered your CR account, right? So they can determine the person has access to those, and the organization like a registry, federal government, they will give the information to persons to that you can get activated to your Google for Nonprofits.
Okay, perfect, wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any questions? We still have 6 minutes more.
Yeah, there's another one from Sabita. Please go ahead.
Yes. Go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, thank you so much. It was a very useful presentation.
Welcome.
So in our community, we are registering a new nonprofit organization called iHelp Foundation. So I am wondering about this thing to utilize this part. Maybe I might have few questions to you. I will email you.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. So make sure you have your certificate of incorporation in your first point of contact. And if you have your domain registered and your website, you don't have to have a very big website, but at least like telling you kind of online presence. The more the older the website is, they trust more. Because the case was founded in 2000, so almost 23 years back, it was being founded or established. So the website is from 2004, so almost 19 years back. So whenever you browse a website, we can see that when it was being purchased. So because from that onward, you are trying to get your own nonprofit established. That's how Google will take that way, right? So more the older, the more trust is there. And I tell you, once you have trusted, like Microsoft, everything will come to you. Say, hey, take this, like that. So it'll take some time, but it is doable. So you have to have your domain, your web server. You don't have to have a whole big lot of pages. Small pages, you can have it from Google websites, Google sites, you can do it. And yeah, you can make a pretty much good website. I would say I forgot one of the schools in Africa. Let me see. There is a Yak and Yeti. I help my my friend to build a website with a Google website. Now, if you can see this, this is the website I built solely with Google Sites. Just Google Site, nothing else. And guess what? I don't have to pay for web hosting for that because it is under a Google server. I just had to register yakinyeti.ca, which I did. I believe it cost $20 per year for my friend, and I helped to establish the website. Very basic website. There's nothing much details, just like that. Just basic information is over here. He's an immigration consultant, and you can just basic website. That's it. Google does not need a lot of information to have very fancy website to have that. Just a couple of pages and information about your mission and cause is enough for them to verify that you are Google for Non-Profits eligible. Any questions? Okay, so I'll go for my last slide. This is basically a bonus tips, which is called TechSoup.ca. So when I started as a director of IT and tried to apply for Google for nonprofits, I utilized TechSoup.ca. So it looks like this. I'll show you and what you can get it. I did, of course, a login. You have to sign up first, and you have to give all the details regarding your nonprofits. So it is basically designed for nonprofits for getting softwares and hardwares and so on. There are a lot of information you can get it. So you can see, oh, Acrobat Pro. It is like $100 plus. For Photoshop, it's like a $500, but you can get in very nominal price. So there are a lot of softwares you can get in donations. See, it's just $42. If you want to get Photoshop, I bet it is $500 plus. See the difference? If you want to get QuickBooks, it is $500 plus licenses. You can just get for $50. So, but you have to approve with the TechSoup. Again, you have to submit your certificate incorporations for a nonprofit, and it will help you to grab all the software and hardware, whatever you want. You can browse a catalog. I'm just giving you as a tip that you can go for. There, even you can get like a Zoom is $25. That's it. You don't have to pay for you don't have to go for a hefty amount for Zoom, right? You can get like Asana is for project management software. It's $0. You can get it, right? So Acrobat Pro, $85. If you can go for Acrobat Pro for 2020, I'll show you. The license is like a $2,300 for one user, and that is what it is. For website building, it's $16. For Wix, it is like a way much more amount. DocuSign, if you can get it, $126. This is again $500 plus. QuickBooks, 3-user license, $130. For 3 users, it is $1,000 if you want to purchase it for commercial purpose. So TechSoup will help nonprofit to get like a software in very nominal price, and yeah, you get service right away. And it's very good customer service by the TechSoup. As my experience, you can go from there. You can get antivirus, whatever. $25, 25 device you can get in $178. You can't get for 25 devices for $170. No, never. For commercial purpose, no. You can go for Office 365 as well, but you have to show that you are eligible for that. You can ask for that. So that's my next slide deck. Next link, which is for Microsoft for nonprofit. Just like for Google for nonprofits, we can go for Microsoft for nonprofits. Now, since we are over here, I just want to compare Google for nonprofits and Microsoft nonprofits. What is the difference between that? So again, it is the same software as a service, but the only bad part for Microsoft, I wouldn't say bad part, but the cons is that you need to sometimes have install software like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and you need to have Windows laptop or Windows devices. But for Google, you don't have to. You can use in Linux, you can use in Windows, you can use in any environment. It's a platform independent. That's what basically Microsoft, I would say, going for nonprofit for Microsoft and the Google. However, the work is almost the same. Whatever I said, cloud computing, it is exactly the same. And lastly, these are all my references. Go through all the references and you can get all the details, like whatever you need to have it. It's all there. So I forgot to enter my email address here. You can email me on this email address at nikis.ca. You can write down. This is my email address. Forgot to write down. With my apologies on that. And you can just email me, and I will try to help you and advise you to process your group from nonprofits. Thank you very much for a little bit 2 minutes over, but this is what is by regarding my presentations. Thank you, everyone.